And yo, hey everyone. I'm just gonna tell them to quiet down with the basketball 1 sec. Yo, guys, I'm starting a stream. Thanks. So, hey, I'm James. Nice to meet everyone. By the way, we are like streaming live on YouTube right now, so just keep that in mind if you share anything. If you share anything on the stream. Yeah, I just wanted to intro myself and tell you what my plan was for today. I met Adam a few weeks ago, and he told me about your program, and it sounds really cool. And I'm a software engineer. I've been a software engineer for about for I don't know, like 15 years, for a while. And these days I mostly teach. But in the past, I worked for a bunch of startups, and mostly what I teach is helping people get their first ideas into a prototype. So but before we start, I'd love to hear a bit more about you all, and what it is that that brought you into coding, and then what interests you. So anyone, just go for it. I see someone smiling.
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
My son actually kind of got me into coding. So I started a little under 4 years ago because I was looking into programs for him. So, I mean, before that, I knew like HTML and CSS from, playing around online and stuff. But I started looking into stuff for him and got really into it and started self-teaching a little bit. And that's what got me here.
That's so cool. What did you use when you started self-teaching?
YouTube, I did a boot camp, but mostly YouTube.
That's cool. I love YouTube, actually. That's why
Yeah.
I learned so much.
Actually, I did some stuff with like Udemy and Free Code Camp, but it was mostly YouTube.
That's cool. I've been making YouTube videos for a couple of years now, just because I love the coding community on YouTube.
Yeah.
Cool. That's nice. And what's your long-term goal for learning how to code?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I really love backend, so I'm kind of on the fence between that and data science. So
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share what what got them into coding, what they're trying to learn long-term, what's their long-term goals?
Sure, I can go next. So right now, currently, I'm a senior in Dominican University, about to graduate in 2 weeks. Super excited. I'm almost there. But I wasn't always a software engineer. I actually used to be a nursing student. I was going to nursing school for about 2 to 3 years, and I was about to transfer to a university. But I wanted a backup option. Because I live in California, nursing is very competitive. It's very hard to get into. So I was looking into X-ray tech, radiology, stuff like that. So they had one class that I needed, and it was just a Python course. I took the course and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love immediately. Fell in love so much that I even ended up becoming a TA. And it really begged the question, do I want to swap careers? Do I want to waste those 2 to 3 years going down this route? Without a second thought, yep, did it. So here I am after about a year and a half, 2 years later. I'm almost done with my 4-year bachelor accelerated program. Super excited. I've worked for 3 different startups so far. One as a Unity VR software engineer, one as a full stack engineer, and the other just doing some more PM, project manager type stuff. But so far, absolutely loving it. I'm so happy I switched. It hasn't been a lot of time, but I've learned so much. And there's so much knowledge to gain from software engineering. I feel like it's just a vast ocean. My toes are just barely dipping into the water, and there's just so much left out there for me to explore.
Wow, congrats. That's awesome. So you said right when you took that first class, something clicked with you. Do you know what that was?
I think it was honestly the problem solving part. So
Yeah.
I always got really giggity whenever I was presented a problem basically kind of like a puzzle. And it was always really interesting to see how I could solve it, how to break it down. So every issue was essentially just a hard task with a bunch of easy things broken down. So as long as you can break it down into those separate, easy, doable tasks, I felt like it was way more accomplishable. And it was also just more intuitive for me because I've always been around computers. Heck, I've tinkered with computers before I could even read. I was putting in cheat codes into like video games, like just matching the symbols on the keyboard. I had no idea what it said or what it meant, but I've just always grown up around that, and I've always just kind of had this fascination behind computers.
Yo, that's awesome. I 100% agree. Like being able to break down bigger problems into smaller problems is really that's the core of it. Doesn't matter what tool or language. Cool. Kent or Emily, did you want to share anything?
Yeah, so as a kid, when I was younger, I was always fascinated by computers and their capabilities. Without even like coding much, I would just learn how to do like cool commands in the terminal on my Mac, and just like act like I was some, like hacker from the movies, just goof off with that. I didn't really commit to, I guess, in a sense, like coding until this first year during high school. I didn't really do much of it. There's an option at my high school to take like a computer science, like AP computer science principles and stuff like that. I didn't. I looking back, I wish I did, but I made the commitment this year, and I'm loving it so far. I think all of the capabilities you can do with coding and the stuff you can create is just so fascinating. Ideally, I'm very interested in the back end portion of it.
Yeah.
Ideally, I want to be like a back end software engineer, if possible. But yeah.
Yo, nice. It's cool to hear that you were also kind of attracted to it when you were young. Cool. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Emily, did you want to share anything? Oh, hey.
Sure. So for me, I was always interested in technology. I always had a curiosity, and I was kind of like the IT person for my parents. Then in high school, they had like a cybersecurity program and an information technology program. So I went into that program, and they were teaching technical support. That was in ninth grade, and I got a certification. Then 10th grade, they did like networking, and when I moved in my to my other high school, they had like a graphics course where they were teaching Photoshop, and they were teaching like other design tools, and I really loved it. So in college, in my previous college, I decided to study cybersecurity, and we did a course on SQL. And I really was intrigued by the problem solving, kind of like Andrew. It was also really cool just to be able to build something and just the satisfaction from it. So for me, I kind of dropped out. I dropped out from that program and I started self teaching. For me, I learned from like YouTube. I did free code camp, Code Academy, and I did a boot camp too. And then I just dropped from it. And last year, I decided to get back into college and enroll in my degree. And I've been really loving it so far. It's just everything I've been looking for. For me, I'm more interested in like the front end.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool, nice. So everyone here is like a little bit self-taught, and yo, by the way, if anyone is just watching in the comments, feel free to chat in. Oh, yo, what about you, Adam? Missed you. Oh, turn on your mic for a second.
Oh, sorry, my windows are jumping around here. Yeah, I got into coding because I was working as a consultant at a software company, and man, did those software engineers have nice cars, and they didn't seem to travel or work as hard as I was as a consultant. And so I thought, well, our brains are just the same size. Like I can learn whatever they learned, and this was 12, 15 years ago, so it was before there were boot camps, and I would have had, I mean, there's really nothing you could do except for self teach back then. And so, yeah, I joined my friend and I sat at a like a software company, and they were so cool. They just let us use a huge like Mac monitor, and we just plugged in our computer and 2 keyboards and 2 mice, and we sat next to each other a whole summer and pair programmed through the Ruby on Rails tutorial, and then turned that into our first startup. It was like an event planning kind of an Eventbrite sort of thing,
Yeah.
and we threw a bunch of parties, and we put all those parties on the planning thing, and just learned to code that whole way. And yeah, and just that was off to the races, and I started to build lots of software. So, and then moved to San Francisco to keep doing startup, and that's when I got more hooked into education.
Wow, so everyone here has like learned a bunch of stuff on their own before coming in. That's really, really cool. By the way, you reminded me of something. Have you ever seen that meme where it shows like the Lamborghini and then afterwards it says "Thank you, JavaScript"?
I haven't, but is my Lamborghini coming? Is that what you're saying, James? You have one delivered today to my house?
Yeah, it showed up on one of my favorite YouTube channels. Cool. Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. That really helps me to like know like where we're coming from today, and how to calibrate this. By the way, if anyone's watching, there's a couple people that are just watching in the chat. So like, if you have anything you want to add to that, go ahead. But yeah, let me just tell you a couple things about myself, and then without further ado, we'll just start on with the talking about code. Yeah, I worked for like a couple of software startups out of high school. I was doing a lot of old school PHP and JavaScript back then. It was really fun. I taught myself everything. I didn't even really think about more formal education at that point, and I was just messing around actually during high school. I didn't even realize that there were going to be like great job opportunities. And then when I actually had those opportunities, like it gave me so much freedom that later on in my life, I thought, wow, like I wish I could, teach more people, so they could have, some of those like awesome chances that I had. And a couple of years ago, I started to make a YouTube channel. Actually, my YouTube channel wasn't really for that purpose. It was just to play around on my own and share some ideas. But I'll just show you real quick. That was really just for fun, that channel. And so this is what it is now. And I started out just making like a bunch of like, at the beginning, I was just making tutorials to explain to myself about stuff I was forgetting all of the time. So like where does Homebrew install stuff, or like what is the difference between undefined null and not a number in JavaScript? So like just like stuff I was always forgetting. But then later on, I was, some of the more popular ones were like, how to write code in Google Sheets, or like how to how to make AI powered apps, or how to build something in Bubble. So I started making these longer tutorials, and then it got a little bit like I was putting in a lot of work to edit them, and I was getting a little bit bored of doing it on my own. So I started interviewing some people and having them help me out. And eventually I just started live streaming. So I would live stream with different people. Like, what's your idea? Let's build it together. Maybe I can teach you something, or you can teach me something. And I guess in the past month or 2 months, I've done like 90 live streams. And that's just been like the coolest experience, because basically, yeah, like I don't need to prepare or edit it. I'm literally just doing what I love to do, which is coding with people all the time. And sometimes, they have like an idea of something I wanted to build already. So it's just like super, super fun. And then sometimes you'll get a couple views, or sometimes maybe it'll blow up a little. And then it's really cool to see like other people riffing with the ideas. And sometimes we're just debugging for an hour, but normally we get a lot of stuff done. So that's what I do mainly. And yeah, if you have any ideas for something that you want to like do on a stream or something like that, you can always hit me up. I'll definitely reply, because I know you. Cool. So yeah, so that's a bit what I'm doing. And then here is yeah, that's my GitHub. But here is like kind of my idea for what we can do today. We've already pretty much talked about the streaming stuff. Yeah, you've all figured that out. Yeah, just be careful if you share your screen, like what's on there, of course, like API keys and stuff that we can always change later. But yeah, just keep an eye out for that, because it's really difficult for me to edit like streams afterwards. It's like a YouTube thing. But for today, yeah, so I thought it would be really cool to talk about the different generative AI APIs out there. Like OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere, Mistral, and show you some of the stuff that you can build with this. Who's used some of these APIs before? Adam has. Tasha, cool. Cool. Yeah, and feel free to like comment as well if you don't want to turn on your mic. But that's cool. So a couple people have used this kind of stuff. Awesome. I mean, I've been working with these APIs since actually like a little bit before they actually came out. And I just want to show you like a couple things that I've made in recently that's been pretty fun. Like just to give you an idea of what you can build. So like this one, actually, I'm not sure if this one works right now, but this is like a really simple. App I made where you just put in a YouTube URL, and then you click generate, and then what it does is it downloads the captions for the YouTube video, and then it gives you like the timestamps of what's happening at each part in the video. Oh, cool! So it works. So basically, then I can paste this into the video description, and people will then have those like people will then have this is like the video where I go through how I made it. This one here, but then you can paste those into the description, and then you get these really nice chapter markers. And the way that it's doing that, the way that it's doing this on the back end is like it's just getting the captions, which are actually automatically generated by YouTube, and then it's kind of passing them into GPT-3, and along with like markers of the time, and then using GPT to break those up into the most important headers. And there's like a couple tricks I had to do to make sure that the captions don't overflow the context length of GPT-3. But this is just something that I thought was really cool that like saved me a ton of time, that I can just paste these, and wouldn't really have been possible without AI, because it really requires like understanding what's going on in the captions. And yeah, it was pretty easy to make actually. So another thing that I made is like pretty similar, is called, and this was just like a one-day project. It's called linkylink.lol, and it's just like a fun project. And the idea is that like if you would go to like Eventbrite and you just say like and you copy in the text, you copy in the text from from the event, and you paste it into here, and you click generate. What this one is supposed to do, I'm not sure if it still works, I haven't checked it recently, is what it's supposed to do, or maybe I removed the API key from it, is it generates like links to Google Calendar and Outlook, and then the other ones, and then you can click on those to add it to your calendar. So these are like some really small, small projects that took like one day, less than a day each, but really fun. There it is. So yeah, so like, so here, like it's generated and parsed it using GPT. You see pizza party, the time has been parsed, the location, and then this. And so I can then like take this, and it's gonna create a new calendar event based on that text. So yeah, just like this is kind of all falls into the category of like generative AI apps. There's a lot more advanced stuff you can do, but I think playing around, it's pretty cool what you can do now in like a couple hours with the APIs. So I think the next thing that I wanted to do was like probably go into like what are the APIs available and like kind of break them down and explain more, like have a look at what you can do with each one and which ones are better than others and for what reasons. Also, by the way, I have a bunch of OpenAI credits that are expiring in about a week. So that's also free for all you guys to use for any projects that you want to make in the next week. Yeah, before I go into that, does anyone have any like generative AI related projects or stuff they're working on or stuff that they want to work on, like an idea for something that you want to build? You can either say on the voice or you can type it in the chat. That's fine. Anyone got any ideas for an AI app or have made one before? Sure, we got some ideas. Tasha? Nothing? Okay.
Not off the top of my head, but I'm brainstorming.
No, that's fine. Okay, we got one. Okay, we got one in the chat. Peace on Earth. Now I'm trying to think. Now my problem solving is kicking in. Like, how could we make Adam? Oh, okay. We have like a politician summary. Yeah, I saw one at a hackathon. There's been a bunch of ones recently that are like taking notes from meetings, political meetings that no one really wants to sit through and summarizing those, which is a great use. And then Adam said, like, for this idea, describe the positions of two politicians in an election. That's a pretty cool idea. Like, I think that like LLMs can be pretty good for detecting biases. I mean, obviously they're also biased, but they can be less biased than a lot of people. So if you want to break down an issue into like pros and cons or to detect the biases, it can be really good at that. So actually, yeah, I think like if you would, that would be a really cool project to do and maybe something we could play around with. Cool. Yeah, and then I have like a ton of ideas that I always want to make. Wonder, like on our channel here, made recently. What have we been doing with AI? We've made. Oh yeah, just last week we made this app. It's called AI Murder Mystery, and I think it's now live at aimurdermystery.com. Okay. So it's not live yet, but basically what we did there is it's a game where everyone on their own phone, they get a new version, that they get their character instructions for the game. So if we said, oh, there was a murder on the moon, then the AI will generate the whole story and then give each player their secret instructions. And then they have to talk to the other people in real life and figure out who was the.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was me and my friend. We built it here, and then I think he actually shipped it like a couple days later. So if it's not working now, it'll be working in the next couple days. And then someone else is making like AI generated music playlists. There's so much you can do. So let's get into like the technical stuff a little bit. So what are the major like LLMs out there even? So starting with OpenAI, because they were the first to release like a major API. And if I go to like the OpenAI API documentation, maybe click explore. maybe platform dot. Yeah, and then so if I go to the official documentation and go here on the left side, you see like capabilities. And these are like all the things that basically you can do with the API platform. It's a lot. So you can, first of all, you can generate text, like as you know, generating text it's initially just can you complete this sentence, but then chat also falls into this because a new message in a chat is just completing a long string of text, which is the chat, if that makes sense. Come back to function calling in a second. Embeddings is just a way to turn language into a vector, into numbers, so that they can be compared for similarity. That's all that it is. It's just taking, we'll just take three things like, like apple, pear, and cheese, and then it turns them into these vectors where you can then compare the differences between them, and you'll notice that like apple and pear are closer together. Easy to visualize in 2D space, and then they do it in like a space with thousands of dimensions. So you can do really powerful searching with embeddings. Fine tuning just takes the base models that they provide, the base LLMs that they provide, and then allows you to upload your own data, which then gets pumped into the LLM. So like, for example, let's say I wanted to make a LLM in the style of some book, that puts outputs in the style of a book. That's really hard to do with, just prompting. But if you would take books and then you would fine tune on those books, it'll really easily start to produce text that's similar to those books. So it's really useful for like the voice and the style. It gets expensive. Like you don't want to be doing like fine tuning a new model every day, but unless people are paying for it. But it's really powerful. And I would always try prompting first before going to fine tuning, because you have to upload all of the text data. Image generation, like DALL-E, have an example of that later today. And then vision is just it's an LLM that's been trained on both text and images, so it can it's actually not just turning the image into text, but it's actually like it can actually read images and text at the same time while sort of understanding what's in the image. And then you have text to speech, speech to text, moderation I've never used, but then come back to like function calling. Function calling is an LLM that is trained to make actions. So like, for example, checking, like looking something up on the internet or sending an email. And yeah, it's not that much more than just getting the LLM to output like JSON structured data, and then having it put in that data, like send an email, and then this is the body, and then this is the subject, or do an internet search. So it's not that much different than just getting LLM to put out like structured JSON data or XML data, but it's just a little bit optimized for that. Yeah, so like, I don't know if that's like all new information for you guys or old information. Any like questions or like thoughts on all of that? Is that helpful? Okay. I'll just assume that that's like it's something that's relatively new stuff. And what's next? So the next thing is like, what are the APIs that you can use? Because this was just OpenAI, but there's also other ones. So Anthropic and Cohere are big competitors to OpenAI. We can also use theirs. Gemini, Google Gemini, and Mistral. So these all have APIs which are really similar to OpenAI. I think OpenAI has the most features. but the other ones are cheaper and also really great. And there's this website that I've linked to down here called the Chatbot Arena. And if you're like wondering, okay, are these ones really as good as GPT-3 or GPT-4? What they've literally done is they've had people look at the response from 2 different LLMs for the exact same prompt almost 1 million times. So 700,000 times people have taken those and then selected which one they think is better. So this will basically tell you like how well people respond to the outputs, of these LLMs. And what you can see here is that like, while GPT, was by far the best like 6 months to a year ago, the other ones are getting a lot better very quickly. And even Gemini, which is like pretty much free now, if you want to use it, is really strong competitor. And Llama 3, which I believe is open source, is also really close. So like a lot of stuff is changing now. Meaning the open source and free models are like a lot more competitive. So in addition to like these official APIs, which we can also look up, so I can just look up like Anthropic LM API here. And you'll get like something very, very similar to OpenAI. There's also 3 websites where you can run open source models. And the advantage of using open source models is like, they're generally cheaper and faster. You can fine tune them without needing to pay for some fine tuning service. Because you have access to the models because they're open source. And then, maybe like for privacy reasons or some other reason, you might just have a constraint where like you want to control what's going on with the model. So these are 3 really good websites for that. Together AI, I think, is the best for like fine tuning. And I've used it before for fine tuning. You can just select any open source model, and then you can upload your data, and it just fine tunes it and lets you know when it's finished. Another one would be like Replicate. Replicate is really good for not just LLMs. So like Together I would use for fine tuning. Replicate I would use for generating. If you just want to use like any of these preset models that they have. So they have like maybe like 100 of these preset models, and some of them are for text, some of them are for video, music, and you can just like spin it up, put in your credit card details, and then you get charged per individual call to the model that you make. And as you can see here, like they also just make it really easy to learn how to use the API. So I could just click on like here's like a text prompted audio model, and then this is like all the Python code. I just copy and paste this into my Python program. You need to like, of course, set up an account and get the API key. But aside from that, really, really easy to like plug in. And then Grok. Grok is a fairly new one. They're running these open source models, Gemma, Llama, and Mixtral, and it's just known for being like super, super fast. So if I would just click, this one, it's just incredibly fast. And you can use their API as well, and it's probably like five times faster than OpenAI. So just like cool stuff you can do with that. Yeah, I showed you like the leaderboard for comparing LLMs, and that's just like general use case. But if you have like a specific use case that you want to use, like for example, like I don't know, like generating like just generating stories, or if you have a specific use case, or like generating recipes, or solving problems, then you want to do like your own comparisons for that. That's one of the trickiest part, is like comparing to see which LM is the best. Now, for like today, I wanted to kind of play around with some code. Of course, that was my idea. Curious for everyone who's watching, like what stack do you normally build apps in? Are you using React.js? Are you using Python and Streamlit? Are you using Flutter? What kind of stuff are you using?
React here.
Cool. Andrew says usually React. That's cool. Have you guys used Node.js? Cool. Use Node. And have you used Next?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Adam, do you teach? Okay, Andrew's used it. Is Next part of the program? I know React is.
It's I don't think it's I mean, we don't really have officially things that are always part of the program, but people generally touch Next either through their React classes or their backend web classes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's perfect, because I've been basically looking for like what's the standard stack that someone should learn when they want to start making generative AI apps, and I've been leaning towards well, first of all, actually, so on my channel, I've tried, these are all of the projects that we've done. And there's like a lot. And so basically, these are all the stacks that we've tried, basically. And so as far as web apps, like been messing around with a bunch, but as far as generative AI, I'm really leaning towards like Next.js, and then maybe like Postgres. Reason being that Vercel has added, I think pretty recently, they've added like this built-in Postgres database. And like the last thing I want when I'm trying to teach someone something new is like that they have to spin up one hosting provider to put their app, and then another one for their database. Then they have to learn how to use Supabase or Firebase. And yeah, I thought that was really cool that you can do like everything together. So yeah, I've been kind of playing around with that, and I made like a short video on how to use this repository that Vercel created, which is a dashboard. It's a Next.js dashboard, and this is React, and then for the front end, I think ShadCN, which is just like fancy components on React. And this template project gives you like a built-in Postgres database. It gives you TypeScript, and it gives you like actually even authentication once you set that up. And like this can all be set up in like 5 minutes. So for me, it seemed like, oh, that's the perfect thing to do like an example project with. So yeah, so obviously you don't need that video because I'm here, and we can just do that together. But yeah, let me show you, and then let me show you how like to get that running in like, I don't know, like less than 10 minutes, because it's really cool. And then what we'll do is, actually first we'll just, we'll look at this project, which is based off of that one that I just showed you. I took that exact same project and I added 2 pages. So this is the link to the project. And what it is it's exactly that example project that I just showed you, this one, but I added 2 pages, and then they connect to OpenAI to do a couple of things. And I don't really like tutorials where you have to like just watch someone code. I could just like code it out for you in front of you and narrate the whole thing. And like sometimes that's good when you're on your own, but I think like to take best advantage of this situation, I wanted to just give you guys that code and then sort of allow you to, to get it running, and then see, what you want to build. If you want to build something similar to that. So here's the. I'll put this in the public chat and in the private chat, and then I'll show you like how easy it is to get this started, this project. So, and I encourage you to do this as well, because it just gonna allow you to basically build whatever you want after this works. So I'll just run git clone and then the repository that's already there. So then I'll go into that repository and then open VS Code. So yeah, it's a Next.js 14 app, and I'd run npm install, and when that's done, I should just be able to run like npm run dev, and yeah, it should work right away. So yeah, definitely like encourage you all to just go ahead and do that, and then npm run dev, and this is, let's see, I think it's still compiling. Probably I had something already running on 3000, so still compiling. And we got this like little warning because I didn't set up the database yet, but the project still runs. So yeah, this is like the base project that I thought would be fun for anyone who's learning this stuff to play around with. And you have like here on the left side 2 pages that I've added. And the text stuff, I thought I could do like text and chat, but that's pretty boring. That's old news. So we have like, I added 1 page where you can type in whatever you want, like a dog, and it will generate a picture of that. And then I added another one where you can like actually select a picture, and then it would actually use GPT for vision to analyze that. So the one thing I do have to do is I have to like put in my API key for OpenAI. Would anyone here like a OpenAI key for OpenAI, just free, that they can use for the rest of the week for any projects that they're working on?
I mean, I can't say no to that. I've always wanted to use OpenAI APIs key, but as a broke college student, it's not very feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Well, yeah, this is your chance. Like, I have a bunch of credits. I think I have $400 left that are going to expire at the end of this week. So we should try and use them as much as we can. So,
oh my god, that's insane, dude. Thank you so much.
So let me just cook those up for you. So basically, how do I do this without showing my screen? I think I just hide that for a second, and I'll make a couple of keys. So I'm going to make one for Andrew. Okay, now I think I should probably, I don't think I have like a private chat, so I think I have to email it to you. Andrew.
Yeah, my email should be in the Google Calendar invite.
Yeah, let me get that. So let me just get those for you guys so you can already start playing around. Let's see. Okay. Sent generative AI. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Andrew A. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Got you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, sure. Okay. There's one key. All right. And the second person, that was Tasha, right? That was you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I will get key for you. Tasha. What should I look for in the email list for your name?
It should just be. Oh, you know what? It might be under Tashingsworth at Gmail.
I don't see. Actually, can you just send?
You can use the Dominican. It's just Tasha.Hollingsworth. Everything else is the same.
Okay.
At students.dominican.edu.
Okay. Hollingsworth. Okay, let me see if I can get that. Tasha Hollings. Is it dominican.edu?
At students.dominican.edu. Yeah.
Student.dominican.edu. Okay. Cool.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. And hello to AI Stories for joining in. We've done some cool projects together on this channel before. Okay, I think I spelled it right, Tasha. Let me know if that doesn't work and I'll send it again. And I will make one API key for myself so I can demo this project right now. So yeah, yeah, just see if you can clone, see if you guys can clone this repo and put in the API key. It should take like, I mean, as you can tell, it takes like literally 2 minutes to run it. So it already works if I don't configure anything. But I'm going to, of course, like put in that key. And so, yeah, this is to configure the database so that you can have like, store data. And then this is to configure the login, all of that. And it should just be OpenAI API key. That's normally how it goes. And then, yeah, I'm gonna take this key right after this, so it's fine that anyone can see it. So yeah, then I have to like restart the server, and let's see if that works now for this demo. So yeah, now if I go to like the dog, if I would type in dog, and like let's generate an image. Let's see. So this looks that looks not a huge deal because it's about off, and it works. So yeah, just like a simple image generation app I thought would be fun to make. I know a lot of people are making apps where like you can generate like image profile picture, like AI profile pictures for yourself. So I thought that would be really cool to like kind of combine that. And yeah, these are just completely AI generated images. And my idea is that, you know, people can take this project and they can reuse some of this, you know, for their own fun ideas. And I can show you more about like how it actually works. Cool. And then there's like the second part, which is the image analysis. And if I would just take like an image, upload it, and click analyze, that's a different API call, and it just it has a prompt to OpenAI saying, you know, what's in this picture, and then OpenAI will write a text about what's in the picture. So this is a young golden retriever puppy, sitting in the grass, happy and relaxed. We can change that prompt to get like different kinds of things. We could put in like a document and say what's going on in this document. Cool. Were you guys able to like try out the repository? Were you able to get it cloned?
I got it cloned, so I put in the API key, but it's not working. I'm running into an authentication error, it looks like. Something throwing an error from the API. I'm just checking a few things real quick. Actually, can I see your .env again real quick? I just want to see the
sure.
The environment variables.
Yeah, so this is the only one that should matter.
Yeah, okay. It looks just like mine. Oh, I had a little typo. Got it. Thank you.
No worries.
That was my bad.
No, it's fine. No worries. I mean, most of what we do when we're building is just.
Yeah, it's always the little things. I had a single quote instead of a double quote.
Oh, one single quote and one double.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What about you, Tasha? Does it work?
I'm actually just following along right now because I'm on Windows. I'm not on my Linux machine, so I have nothing on this computer.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you can use Node on Windows, but
yeah,
I'm also not brave enough to try it myself. Cool. So yeah, at this point, basically what I'm thinking is, we can do a couple of things. You know, we can come up with some ideas for things that we would want to like to add into the project. You know, you can think of your own ideas for things that you might want to build, and we can kind of play around with that. And I can also show you like some of the ideas that I had as well. But does anyone have like any thoughts on? Does anyone have any thoughts on like where we could take this? You know, like what else we could add to this? Because this is just like ideas as a project for people to start their own projects. So if you had an idea like, oh yeah, we could make like some kind of abstract art generator or something like that, you know, or I want to do this. I want to add this feature. Maybe like AI Story says WSL is a good option, but I actually don't know what that is. WSL. WSL. Oh, okay. It's a good option to use. You can run Node on Windows if you have to. That's cool. Yeah, I think that's what he does as well. Cool. Thanks.
Oh no, I know I can. I'm getting ready to get rid of Windows on this machine. So and just go straight Linux. So
That's also brave, but I'm sure you'll make it. Cool. So, and then a couple of things that I thought of that, like, because I've been building on this project, is like, I thought it would be cool to have like, of course we can change the prompts. I thought it'd be cool to have like, oh, people can pay to use this. Another thing would be like to be able to like save the images to the database. That'd be cool. Both of these I have not even looked into doing before. So I mean, if that's something that someone is interested in, that's something we can do. But yeah, I would say if anyone has an idea for something that they want to like build, we can do that. Otherwise, I can kind of walk you through the code a bit and show you how it works. So yeah, what do you think?
So one of my friends had this idea. She was learning a second language. She was learning like Spanish or something. And she knew that the best way to immerse herself in learning a language is to actually be in your environment and have kind of like labels for each of the things. So what she was doing was she was putting sticky notes on furniture. So like, oh, this is the bed. I don't know what it is in Spanish, but this is bed in Spanish. This is chair in Spanish. So I was just thinking like maybe could we do an app where you take a picture and it'll label each of the items inside of that picture? Or because
cool.
there are a lot of different things going on there, right? Because you have to overlap it. You have to basically identify the object, and then you have to be able to put the text on that object too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's do it. So normally when it comes to something that's a little bit trickier, I'll write it down in a Google Doc, like how we're gonna break that down into like that bigger problem down into smaller problems. So the goal is like, if I got it right, we want to make convert an image to an image with labels, with text labels, right? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, AA Stories commented, yeah, so like it's a classic sort of object detection. Now, there's kind of two thoughts here. You could two kind of possible approaches. We could do this with like a LLM because that's what's sort of hot and exciting. But then there's also a lot of other models out there which can do this without using an LLM. However, I can see advantages of each one. So with LLM, without LLM, and starting with the without LLM, I think, or can you think of any possible, by without LLM, I mean like a classic, if we would go to, Hugging Face, object detection. I'm not an expert on this at all, but I think, and we can find some models here that may have existed years ago. I'm not an expert on this at all, but I have, a friend who's done a couple good videos on this. Can you think of any possible like pros and cons of using an LLM for this?
Probably pros is that it's easier to implement, but cons would definitely be like, I don't know, it might get it wrong or disorientated or what's the term for it? I forgot. Disassociate, something like that. I'm not too experienced in the AI realm. Hallucinate, that's it. Yeah. So it might hallucinate and get things incorrectly, or it might even detect or not properly detect something if there's like multiple objects in a room or something, like many objects on a table.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it might just go off the rails and start saying anything, or it might say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that."
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff, and then AI Stories mentioned like cost at scale. That's a good one. So the cost at scale is basically that LMs are probably more expensive than a more specialized model, especially this one, because there's not a lot of vision multimodal LLMs. So that would be under without LLM. That would be, or actually here. So this is, I'll just put under both. So this is cheaper, more expensive. Yeah, this easier to implement one, that ends up being like a big factor in stuff I'm building, because it's just it just helps me to build something in like a couple of hours. And our code base is going to be smaller. I was thinking like without the LLM, it may be, going back like the hallucination, it may be more reliable. And then it's also more reliable at object, or like detecting the location of things, because LLMs don't like have built in like a good way to tell you where in the picture something is. I think actually someone told me that Google is releasing one very soon that does do that. I forget what it was called, but in the next month or so. But the existing ones like GPT-4V, actually I have a pretty good example of this. But I gave it a picture of a human body, and I said, "Can you give me rectangles which outline different parts of the human body?" And the rectangles were like all kind of skewed off to one side and not really well on point. And so what a lot of people end up doing is like putting grid lines over the image before showing it to GPT, and then using those as sort of markers. But I think I think that would be probably need to add grid lines. That would probably be a big thing. Yeah, or just wait a few weeks until there's an LLM that can do all of this. Would probably be what I would do. But yeah, based on all of that, so we have the with LM is simpler, might need the grid lines, which makes it a bit more complex. It can hallucinate, and it's more expensive, which is not a constraint for us right now. And then the without LM is cheaper. And then for me, the main disadvantage of this one is just like, I'm not a machine learning engineer myself, so I would have to go learn up about these types of models. But I have an idea for like how we could start. I don't think we're going to finish this one today, but I have an idea for how we could sort of start building this. So, and that's basically just to take this page right here, and then to sort of build on it and see if we can get it to output something that we could then turn into some boxes and some labels, or just some labels. How does that sound?
Yeah, definitely sounds good. I think the hardest part is definitely finding the location of it. And that's why when my friend brought up this idea, I was like, well, I don't really necessarily know how to solve that. From a scopage issue, if you were to scope down a little bit, we could just identify one object, right? Just say like, hey, what's the biggest object in this focal point?
Yeah.
What is it? And it would be very bare bones. And I feel like the analyze image can already kind of do that if you specify the prompt a little bit more deeper. But I felt like it was a really cool problem in terms of like multiple objects. Like, how do you actually implement that grid? Like, how do you splice it? Like, are you splicing it up and just telling it to analyze each little square in there? Or is it more just, some other technology?
Yeah, it's a really cool idea because like, I mean, I'm also learning languages, and like, I would love that you can just take a picture of a room and then you can get the words back. I think that just reminded me of like one probably other advantage of using LLM for this is like probably has a bigger vocabulary. Anything, any word that exists, like it will know that. Whereas traditional computer vision models, they have to be trained on pictures of each thing separately, which are separate categories. So that would be really cool. For example, like it would know, like even if it knew chicken and knew sandwich, then it would be able to detect what's a chicken sandwich, for example. Whereas the other, like an old school CV model wouldn't be able to do that. So cool. Yeah, let's give it a shot. I think we have like 20 minutes to just go at it. So let me sort of get oriented here in the code base. It's quite simple. I'll show you the stuff that I added. And most of the stuff, this is actually, I'm learning, this is my first time using like Next.js 14, where it's just like, basically, it seems to me that I just have to figure out which directories to put stuff in. But so we have like, we have one directory here, the app directory, and I added, where did I put it? Oh yeah. So I've added two directories, generate and analyze. And inside those, there's like a page.tsx. And so these are the React code. So at the top, like the use client makes it all client side. These are just standard React single page apps that create this this nice looking form. And so under the analyze page, using like a couple form components, and the main thing that I've done here is just like I've imported this this function called generate text from lib/API, and that goes to a backend. That goes to a backend on the server, on the next server, which called text. And here we see like, okay, that's API/generate/text. And this is done in the generate text function. And that literally just passes this image. So if I can go to payload here. Yeah, so this is a post request to /API/generate/text. And it passes in literally just form data from the image. If it was a huge image, I think it should still be fine. And then it responds with the output. So that is all happening through this this function, and that's connecting it to the React app. So that's probably, we don't need to really change any of this form right now. Just wanted to just show what's going on here. It's it's React JavaScript code, which I think you all can figure out. So if I will go back to that API that I just showed, which is the API/generate and generate text, we can see like this is the code that is getting called when that API endpoint gets called, and it's calling a function called generate text, where I have the image and the prompt. And this generate text is literally just a wrapper around Node Fetch and OpenAI. You can also just import OpenAI from OpenAI and then use that. But sometimes I'll just, because it's such a simple API call, like this is the whole thing, and then some error, some error handling, and that's literally the whole thing. I'll just write that out in TypeScript. But that we don't need to change. Like this stuff we don't need to change right now. The front end we don't need to change for now. I think we probably need to come up with a pretty good prompt. And one thing that we might want to look into as well would be like open. Have you heard of JSON mode? Okay, cool. So JSON mode allows us to generate text using GPT-4, but the text is always guaranteed to be correct JSON. So this is the example code to use JSON mode, and so basically I would want to, let me change this to NodeJS because that's sort of the way I'm doing it. We have like this this extra parameter that gets passed to the API called response format, and if I pass this in to the API call to OpenAI, I should always get valid JSON back instead of the text. Instead of just like a text response like, oh, this is a dog, I should get like some JSON back. And I don't really think they give you a good way to test this. I can just demo it. Maybe I should just demo it real quick, how that would work. So it will take just a minute to do. And here, I think I would need to add in the API key right here to make it work. Yeah, like that. And then I probably need to install. I use Python just for like getting stuff to work really fast. But then later on, I'll go back and do it in TypeScript because, because there's nothing like collab that I know that works really well for JavaScript, Node.js. Okay, so looks like, do you see, oh, I think that should be probably in here when I make the client. Okay. So what this is doing, let's have a close look at this example. This is like a normal OpenAI request, except the type JSON object has been added in. And if we will take this code, but just remove that, we get like a normal sentence. But since we put in JSON mode, we get this. Where does it get this idea that it should give error? It just invented that because we didn't tell it, what format to give the output in. But if we wanted to do something with, like, for example, right, give me a recipe for a cake, then this is where I think this actually becomes useful. I don't think the World Series one really makes a lot of sense. But here, this is like a normal recipe for a cake as given by ChatGPT. And if I will just add this, this one line of code, to get a JSON mode from it. And did I goof something up there? Here, messages must contain the word JSON in some. I've never seen that before. Okay. That's interesting. So it said that I needed that the messages must include the word JSON. I hadn't seen that. So I just added JSON to the prompt, and then it suddenly worked. But so now we see like why this is kind of useful, because like now we're getting back a format that we can actually query with JavaScript. And the best way to do this would be to always give it an example, because then you know that you're always going to get all of the same fields back, so it doesn't change it like from notes to details, without for some random reason. So I think we could probably use this in our app as well. Yeah. What do you think, Andrew? How do you think we could kind of use that?
Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure. And I feel kind of bad because I feel like I gave you a curveball here, right? Because I'm not entirely sure on the answer either. I really like your idea of a grid though, and I don't know how the JSON kind of format could be implemented with that. But yeah, it's tricky. I was just curious like what your solution might be, or like what kind of ideas you had.
Yeah.
Like again, I don't really use much AI prompting. I'm not in terms of like actually using ChatGPT. I'll use it occasionally, but this is really cool just to get a peek under the hood of like what it's actually like to implement this inside of an app too.
Sure. So I'm thinking probably what I would do is I would combine the grid idea with the JSON idea. And the reason I would use the way that I would probably use JSON is I would use it like this. Give me a list of objects. Well, let's just take like a famous a picture. Oh, I know, a famous objects in the painting Night Watch, which is like a famous painting that has a lot of stuff going on. And for each one, give their locations in X, Y coordinates. So, and then it's and then return JSON. So I was thinking that if we would have like an image and then we would prompt it like that, we could get something back kind of like this.
Oh, so it does do the X and Y coordinates. Okay, I thought it wasn't able to do that.
Well,
or are those incorrect?
Almost 90% guaranteed to be incorrect, especially because it doesn't even know how wide or tall the image is. But it's a start, and it's something that we could improve on. So my thought is basically that that combining the JSON with the grid should work. And I've heard from others that it should work. So I think adding the grid would be something we could probably do. So the way people are doing it now is basically, they're basically doing it manually. I mean, they're basically taking the image and then putting on X lines to divide it into squares, and then they're putting labels on each box. And I think for just like this sort of proof of concept, we could do something similar. I don't know, maybe in I'll just do it in Google Slides. So this is my thought of how this could work. We could take, that image, to upload the image here. So I can take this image, and then this is like a really easy example, right? But this is what we would eventually be doing programmatically, while there's not a better solution. You know, we'd be doing something like this. And this is how some AIs are actually browsing the web right now. And then, you know, we just say like, make this clear. And yeah, this is actually how people are making these. I have not done it before, but it's something that we could, something we can test out. Of course, now I have to write all of these.
Yeah, I just want to say I love like the rapid prototyping. This is awesome.
Like we know how to do this using TypeScript, but like we know it's possible. If we can get the AI part to work. And like, I mean, we know we can write a script that's going to add these in. So for me, the most important part is figuring out if we do this, does it give the AI enough context to solve the problem? Okay, cool. So if I download that, and drop that back. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna assume that, you know, we can write a program which is gonna add this grid on, and it might even do a much finer grid, you know, and then we're gonna we're gonna add JSON mode. Let me write this out. So idea. Programmatically add grid lines to each image when uploaded. Use GPT 3.5. No, use GPT 4V in JSON mode, and then use a prompt that gets back location of each. That asks for a list of items and their locations, right? So it could be something even like, give me a list of objects. I think this is just going to be easier to test with when we do it in the actual app. So we're going to make a couple small changes here. We're going to go to the API endpoint, because I'll show me where I am. And then for this generate text function, I just want to add JSON mode into here. So here, I've kind of done this. I think that should be in the body. Yeah, okay, so I think this here is the payload that's getting sent. Oh, this is the wrong function. This is generate image. And then we have, should have another one, generate text. And here's the payload that's getting sent to OpenAI, which is GPT-4 Turbo, messages, max tokens. And then we should have something like response format. Let's go back to this docs and get it correct. Response format, add JSON object. So I'm gonna first just see if this works, and can't remember. I don't think I need to restart any server. Maybe I do. Okay. Okay, so what I had expected to happen was to get the response as a JSON object there, and let's see this stuff. It's giving me the same. That same.
Oh,
error.
the contain JSON thing again. Yeah.
Yeah, which is so funny because before today, I'd never seen that error. Maybe it's maybe it's because I was using not GPT-4 or something like that before. Maybe I just never happened to do it like this. So here, messages must contain the word JSON.
Oh yeah, it's messages, not prompt.
Right. So that should be going into messages. Through here. Right? And we can even see, like, if I console log the payload here. Okay, well, that didn't exactly help. I wanted this to get this one out. So, like, and here I have messages. So it says here, yeah, messages must contain the word JSON in some form to use response format of type JSON. So that response format is working, but for some reason it thinks that this prompt doesn't have the word JSON in it. It's kind of strange. I wonder what I'm missing here. Role user. Last time it was in the system prompt. I don't know if that makes a difference. We're also using an image now. I can try commenting out like the image, see if that would make any difference. And that did seem to make a difference.
Hey, nice. There it is.
Interesting. So I've never combined JSON mode and and images before. But it looks like when looks like for some reason when I put in the image, it gives that, or when I add the image to the prompt, it no longer liked that. So I'm wondering, like, do I need to ask for JSON after I add the image to the prompt? What's going on? So, but we can do that. We can do that. So we could do like, I mean, I could literally do it like the image first. But at this point, you know, I'm actually guessing a couple of things here because I've never had that exact error before. So I would say, okay, so you have messages. Okay, so this is messages, and it's an array. And then if there's an image, right now what we're doing is we're adding this. Right now what we're doing is basically the same as this. And what I want to do is, let's try it in the other order. Just putting the image first, just to guess. Like, what if I put the image first? Yeah, will it actually run that? So far, so good. Okay. So yeah, first of all, this is all new to me, but it looks like there's a specific order that the prompt has to be in, and the last prompt has to ask for JSON after the image. Yeah, could check it. This might be in the docs, but it's also possible that it's just non-documented. So now what I'm gonna do is, we're pretty much out of time, but actually, I think we got this. So basically, I'm going to take that image, this one, and upload that. And we're gonna get something in JSON based off of this doctored image that we put in. And what I want to do is I want to just change the prompt here to basically say, what's it going to be? To say that was in over here under, yeah. So give back an array of items in the picture. Each item should be in the format. I'll just use some fake notation here. Description, location, where location is the label, is the location label given in the same grid cell as the item, just something like that. And let's try it again. All right, so we actually got something that looks good. And this is something that we could use, in our app to start putting labels on. And let's see what it said. Okay, so in B2, we have a puppy. In B3, we have puppy. In A2, we have grass. In C3 we have flowers. D3 we have
I mean, it's kind of there. It's doing something.
So this is my initial idea of how we could approach this problem, and it's probably the first thing I would try. And yeah, thanks AI Stories. It's pretty cool already. I can definitely imagine improving this a lot and actually making something that works. Yeah, and like I can think of a lot of other applications aside from just like helping you learn a language for something like this. Pretty cool. Yeah, cool idea. Thanks, Andrew.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, honestly, dude, thank you so much for doing this. Like the grid idea with the JSON, like it looks really cool. Like I wouldn't have thought of any of this. Like this is awesome. Like you can just see the starting point too. Like you could definitely make this a whole lot better. It's already actually not too bad. Like it does actually tell you where things are.
Yeah. 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 I think going back to like your initial point, like using something like an LLM might have some, downsides, but then it has some big upsides, including the fact that like you can just prototype stuff really fast. And that's why I love like teaching and doing projects with it. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to do today. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in and sharing your stories and sharing where you are on your coding journey. Yeah, always happy to hear from any of you if you ever have like a project that you want to try out together, or if you just have like any questions. I'm happy to do maybe like more workshops on maybe some other topics, or even if it's related to like just like general coding, like or general um, like what kind of jobs are out there for for new developers, or what are different career paths for after you graduate, this kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks a lot everyone, and if you yeah, I'd love to hear more from you, and any questions, just hit me up.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. That was
Really
awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys. Hope you got something out of it.
For sure.
All right, have a good one, man. Take it easy.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.